Do you desire to turn your passion into income? Connect with other creative souls who also dance to the beat of their own drum? I'm Marie-Nicole, and I'm devoted to combining beauty, uniqueness, and connection in everyday living experiences. As a creative professional and Dharma coach, I help people connect to the truth of who they are and facilitate them in embodying their uniqueness. It is my hope in this podcast that I inspire you to live your life on your terms and earn your income through being uniquely you. After all, it's the unique thread that we each contribute to the collective tapestry that creates the whole. Before going into today's podcast topic, I'd like to share some information from our sponsor, Hum Sound Therapy. Peter and Connie have been sharing their passions together for the past 9 years, developing a unique heart-based sound experience, expanding hearts into the benefits of sound and energy healing, using a variety of instruments, including crystal singing bowls, gong, Native American flute, didgeridoo, drums, chimes, and more. Peter is also a biofield practitioner, working one-on-one, in-person, and distance sessions. They are both passionate about sharing sound vibration and creating an environment where you can drop into your heart and feel, enabling a full-bodied experience. A quote from these beautiful-hearted humans themselves: "Our work is to be of service, to share our love, guide and nurture you back to your inner wisdom and reclaim your personal song through sound and energy, dropping into your heart, raising your hum of life." I can personally vouch for the truly magical and healing experiences you will receive through their sound journeys and biofield tuning sessions. So, to connect with them and their offerings, visit their website and follow their journeys on social media. Links are in the show note. Thank you, Hum Sound Therapy, for sponsoring this podcast. And now for today's episode. The title of this podcast episode includes the phrase, "Courage comes before confidence," which is often used in motivational speak. Not to be dismissive of your feelings, but quite the opposite in fact. To encourage you to step out of your comfort zone and realize your potential. The only way you can do that is to take action even when you feel like you don't have all the tools you need and you're not quite ready. In truth, you'll never be 100% ready, and you'll never have all the tools you need until you experience what you're resisting doing or starting taking action on. It's through the doing that you will discover the answers you seek, acquire the tools you need, and grow and expand. In this episode, I'm going to share with you some of my experiences I've had around not feeling ready and resisting to start until I felt I was. And then I'm going to share with you another guided visualization. I hope you enjoyed last week's guided visualization, as it's the first time I have shared one publicly. I use them as a part of my coaching service, but I have not yet recorded them for all to hear and experience. So please let me know if you get value out of them, as I would love to create more and share them with you. Back to the topic of feeling inadequate and how courage comes before confidence. Before I started my first business as a portrait and wedding photographer, I applied to work with a professional wedding photographer with an established successful business. He asked me how many weddings I had shot, and at the time that was 0. I had, however, shot numerous portraits, ballroom and Latin dances on location, captured them in action, as well as dog portraits and family and couple portraits. My style was very journalistic rather than posed, and I felt it was a good fit for his style. He asked me to come back after I had shot 50 weddings, and then he'd take me on as an assistant. But then he also said, "I have a feeling you won't need to come back, as you'll have a thriving business by then." He was not wrong. I did go on to photograph the required 50 weddings, over 100 in fact, in the end. And on top of that, I continued to offer my portrait photography services, and I did not go back to ask him for work, as I had built a thriving business of my own. Back then, I was in my early 20s, and I was fearless. I had not yet been conditioned to believe I was inadequate, in that area of my life at least. I did, however, have a great desire to continue to learn and grow and hone my skills. So I joined the Australian Institute of Professional Photographers and attended every possible workshop I could. Even as a new mum, I took my firstborn along with me and was like a sponge, ready to absorb all that I could learn. As valuable as all those workshops were, the real learning actually took place on the job. From the mistakes I made that I could not afford to repeat again. This was my livelihood and I had a child in tow. I learned a lot from that business over the 9+ years, but the biggest lesson I learned was that you're never going to be fully ready and that the learning takes place in the action you take. All that said, I did develop a sense of inadequacy and resistance to doing certain things that I felt ill-equipped to do, and continue to take on further studies to fill the gaps in my knowledge and experience. I went from being a photographer who hired staff to a self-employed artisan working to establish a new venture with this time 2 children in tow. In my second business, I wanted to grow slowly and work within the constraints of my family's needs, as my photography business went from infancy stage to full-bloom business in the blink of an eye, and becoming a new mum in the midst of it was a recipe for burnout on my part. My new venture was based on selling products rather than a service, and that took me through a whole new series of learning experiences, which led me to take on more courses and work with a different coach to the one I worked with in my photography business. This coach worked with me on developing systems that enabled me to work within my constraints and still fulfill my objectives of selling my wares through retail stores, markets, and my online store. After moving to the Yarra Valley and experiencing isolation, I had a great desire to open another commercial space. But with my last commercial space being based on a service I provided as a photographer, I felt I needed to learn how to create this bigger picture vision of a business which incorporated a retail store, integrated workshop space, and creative co-working. So again, I took on further study and did a postgraduate course in collective entrepreneurship, which gave me the courage I needed to open Creator's Nest, but I still felt like there were holes in my skill set. So then I took on Marie Folio's B-School course, which gave me a lot more knowledge in the technicalities of the everyday operation of a modern-day business. A part of my vision for Creator's Nest was also to offer coaching, because I found coaching so invaluable myself. But I did not want to just offer business coaching. I wanted it to be more holistic, especially after my experience with burnout. So I went on to become a certified Dharma coach, a soul purpose coach, through the Dharma Coaching Institute. In each of my businesses, I worked with coaches and found their guidance to be valuable in a different way to taking a course, as it focused on tapping into my well of resources and knowledge that I had accumulated and applying the theory and taking action. Even with all these qualifications and certifications under my belt, I still struggled with an underlying feeling of inadequacy. After every course, I added something new to my knowledge, but each one reconfirmed that I already knew a lot of what was being taught through my experience of doing. My feelings of inadequacy was not coming from not having the knowledge in my professional life, it was coming from my personal life. It's amazing how much of an effect this had on me professionally. I have had to do a lot of work on rebuilding my sense of self-worth and confidence over the last 15 months. But even with the personal challenges I was experiencing, I never gave up on creating a career path that aligns with my unique skill set and lived experience. Because deep down, at my core, I knew I was meant to live to my own beat, which also meant doing business to my own beat too. I have never lost the drive or desire to serve others through my professional work, as I know this is my calling. It's my soul's purpose. I am here to be an example of how that's okay. In fact, that's how we're meant to operate, to our own rhythm, working with our own unique skills, talents, and energy systems to serve the collective and make our contribution to the whole. What I did learn from all those years of study was The same as what I had learned way back in my first business, that no amount of theory can ever prepare you for the reality of doing, taking action, experiencing the journey of doing business. Confidence comes from the doing, taking action, and the courage to take action comes before the acquired confidence. I am not saying I did not get value out of all of my studies, but doing the courses did not give me everything I needed to fulfill my objectives. It was my willingness to take action that brought about the results. I can confidently say that I am proud of each and every business I have created, even if at each step and stage along the way I may have felt inadequate. I still leaned into courage to elevate me to the next level. Even when I did not feel ready, I took action. And in doing that, I learned and facilitated others in taking action of their own, realizing their own dreams along the way. So I would like to encourage you to take those uncertain steps forward and learn as you walk through the fire of initiation, making mistakes, taking risks, tweaking and adjusting and pivoting along the way, because this is where your greatest learning takes place. And if you struggle with feeling inadequate, that is where I can help as a coach. I'm here to serve you in helping you connect to the essence of who you are and how you're here to serve, and tap into the well of resources that you have acquired through your lived experience. Which is also why I created a guided visualization to help you release your fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs, and instill in you that you have what it takes to realize your dreams and even beyond. There is a link to the guided visualizations in the show notes. You can access a free video version via YouTube. That said, in the interest of sacred reciprocity, I am also offering a downloadable audio version for a small exchange of $2.22 via my website, which you can easily save and reuse over and over at your leisure. Before you head off to access the links to the guided visualization, I'd like to remind you that I'm opening my workspace up to share with others, offering intentional crafting workshops in my personal studio shed, starting with lunar crafting sessions, where we will create a feather talisman based on the energies of the phase of the moon at the time of the workshop. This will be offered around the new moon or full moon. The new moon session will be dedicated to setting intentions for the moon cycle ahead, and the full moon session will be focused on what limiting beliefs we'd like to release. In both sessions, participants will learn some leather and feather crafting skills while being introduced to how we can work with the energy of that phase of the moon cycle to support us in creating flow in our life, while intentionally crafting a talisman that will serve as a physical reminder of what we're calling in or what we're wishing to release in our life's journey. Links to these sessions will also be included in the show notes. The first one is scheduled for this coming weekend, working with the energy of the full moon, so don't delay, book today. Enjoy the guided visualization I created for you. Please let me know how it served you once you've used it. You can do so via social media or email me directly. I'd really love to know how this helped you, as this is my intention in creating these. Thank you so much for your time. I know how valuable it is, and I hope you got value out of listening to this podcast. If you are looking for a coach to support and guide you through your own unique journey of creating a life you love, then reach out for a connection call. And if you'd like to connect with other creative souls in person by joining us at a workshop, a retreat, or to book a unique shopping experience here at Creators Nest, I run those by appointment. So check out the website for more details. The link is in the show notes. Oh, and please leave a review. I'd love to hear any insights or inspirations that were activated in you from this podcast. And I look forward to drumming, dancing, or soaring alongside of you.